Ist es on?
Mach ein Foto.
Was?
Oh!
おめでとうございます。
Pentax, Pentax, Pentax.
ついにここまで来た。
Pentax, 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 Pentax.
Okay, so the rain has settled. Fortunately, we can start unboxing this camera. I really don't want to do this tomorrow. And I received this package yesterday from Pentax. And you can imagine I was very curious to see what's inside. I have opened it here slightly just to check if it's the right package. But I haven't seen what's inside and I haven't seen the camera yet. And I really want to give you this first honest, raw impression. Okay, let's go. This is a big moment for Pentax. I hope TKO is watching, feeling very proud that I'm unboxing his baby. This is a huge step forward into hopefully more film cameras to come. And yeah, so paperwork, let's hide this. Okay, here we have it, Pentax 17. And we get a little cap, some merch. Pentax, Pentax, Pentax. Oh, there's more merch. There's a little bag. Pentax 17. It's time for film. I'm curious if they will include this for every order. I think that could be very cool. Now time for the main event. Here it is, Pentax 17. Should we talk a little bit about this package design? Minimal, simple. It reminds me of the Ricoh GR packaging with a different color. I'm a little nervous. Where was this made? Made in Vietnam, and made in Japan, and made in the Philippines. Oh, this is accessories. The camera's made in Vietnam, so similar to the Ricoh GR. Let's open it. Before I show you the camera, I have seen a sneak peek of the technical drawing of the camera, but I haven't seen what color it is, what kind of material they used, so really curious to see how it looks and how it feels to use, right? Oh, this is nice. A little message here, it's time for film. Oh wow, it's very small. That's what she said. Okay, I didn't expect the camera to be this small. Let's have a look. It's still wrapped. Let's get this whole thing out. Here's the camera. Oh wow, it has a very deep grip. Oh. It looks like it's going to be gray and black. Oh, nice, okay. It looks kind of like a fusion of a compact camera and a Pentax SLR. Oh. 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 This is nice. Look at this top. This is so cool here. And look at this deep grip. It looks very functional. And so, initial impression holding the camera, really nice grip. You can see that my middle finger is resting on the grip and then I have my index finger available to shoot. It has an on and off switch. And then this tiny film advance lever. If you watch all the promotional material they put out, the interviews, they put a lot of effort and money into this advanced lever because they really want young people who haven't experienced film cameras before to experience this mechanical mechanism of advancing a film. Let's look at the camera a little bit more. So the viewfinder is round, but because it's half frame, it is also vertical shaped. And it has two frame lines. I think one is for close distance and one is for infinity. Ooh. I have to film this later and show you. When you look through the viewfinder, first of all, it is quite clear, even though of course it's small. For a compact camera, it always is small, but it is very clear and the frame lines are not too obvious. They're a little transparent, which is nice. And then you have this distance scale on the lens here. And when you turn it, you have one for close focus, macro, and then one for infinity, You know, this would be group shots, medium shot, portrait maybe, food. Is it for food photography? And when you look through the viewfinder, it actually shows you this distance scale in the viewfinder. I mean, the professional photographer in me, of course, would like to see an actual meter distance scale or meter or feet distance scale with actual values. But I guess if you really want to find out the distances, you can check the manual, because I think in the manual they mention what the distances are. But I think the idea with this camera is that it's something easy to carry, where you don't have to think much. You take a group photo, set it to group photo distance, take a photo, and that's it. It has a flash. And the lens, yeah, let's check out the lens. So it says HD Pentax lens, HF. I don't know what HF stands for. And it's a 25mm 3.5, traditional. If I remember correctly, then this lens is designed after or modeled after the Pentax SPO. From what I've heard, it's a very sharp lens. It's a 3.5. I think some people would prefer to see a 2.8 aperture lens, but if we remember that this camera is half frame and you use this zone focus system, then 2.8 is maybe a little too shallow. I mean, it's plastic, of course it's plastic, but there are no cracking sounds. It does feel very tight. And you have strap lugs here on the side and also on this left side here. So you can use it, you can carry it like this or carry it like this. What do you think? I really like this design. I'm actually very surprised how cool it looks from especially on the top. When you look down, it says Pentax, craftsmanship by Pentax, and then it also says film camera, in case you didn't know. Oh, there's also an exposure compensation dial. You can set the ASA or ISO speed here. There's a bokeh dial. So there's a mode dial for bokeh, night shots, program mode, auto. I don't know what, this is probably flash. Program mode for flash probably. So I can see how this is not too intimidating for a beginner, but also professional photographers will probably know how to use this to their advantage. I think we should finally use that advanced lever, right? I think this is where the battery is, but I can't open it unless I have a tool for it. We don't have much time here. Whoa! So the battery cover comes off, so be careful about that. But this is where the battery goes. I at least want to take one shot and advance the film, even though I don't have any film loaded. We will do that after this unboxing is over. So, battery is loaded. Let's turn this camera on. Now you see a light blinking here. I don't know what that stands for. I can feel some kind of half press action going on. Of course my neighbor starts to mow the lawn. Here it goes. What a quiet shutter. Do you even hear it? Really quiet. It's just a click. Why did I do this? Oh. Guck mal hier, Kamera. Das macht Spaß, ne? Nicht auf das Objektiv. Oh! I wish I had film in the camera, because it was so cute when you looked into the camera. Actually, half frame is kind of perfect to take photos of your kid. Papa has to go, it's raining and... Oh, no, this here? Guck mal, bitte. Oh. Okay, we have to go. Okay, now let's load some film. I have some Ilford HP5 here, and it's pretty straightforward. You just pull this here, then you pull it even more, and then it opens. This is where the roll goes. You put it in like that, then you pull this here until this red marking here. Okay, so now you just close it, put this back down, and then all you gotta do is advance the film, take a photo. Wait, I have to turn the camera on, take a photo, advance, and you do this until the film counter is at 0. So one more time. Oh, and don't forget before you shoot to set your film speed. I have it set to 400, but you can turn it. If you have 800 speed film, you put it at 800. and then I like to overexpose it by one stop. That just gives me a little cleaner files, and then I'm good to go. So we're taking a lunch break, and of course we gotta test the lunch break setting. So this is half a meter. So say cheese. And now here is the result. So I just finished a roll of HP5, and now I want to get the film out. And you have to press this little button here once, and then you can start turning this here, and you do it until you don't feel any resistance. You can hear that I'm done. Then you lift this up again, and you open it. Ta-da! Time to load new film. Kodak Gold 200. Zack. And ready. First shot.
Push here. Here. Very good. Also wir ziehen das immer ab.
Ja. Okay.
Das ist dann
Vielen
quasi
Dank.
alles.
Dankeschön. Okay, Oliver. Thanks for the quick turnaround.
No problem.
Looking forward to see what I got. I want to ask you, because you are someone who knows the film community, especially in Germany. What are your thoughts on half frame in general? Maybe let's start with that.
Well, I mean, it's a niche format for sure, but it's I think it's quite attractive to have 72 exposures on a 36 film nowadays, when the film prices went up quite a bit in the last few years. So, in general, we have more and more people asking us for half frame cameras, and but until now we only had used half frame cameras, which are even rarer than It's a format that gives you a little bit of the freedom back, that you can just shoot a lot to try out, especially I think for street photography, extensive portrait sessions and stuff like this. It's where you just want to experiment and don't know if every shot is going to be the shot. I think that's a great format for that.
Yeah. I think Pentax is aiming for people who are not in contact with film yet. Maybe some of those Instax users. Who knows? How do you think? Who's going to buy this camera?
Well, I think that bist du sicher, dass du das benutzen willst? In general, I think that they're aiming for as many people as possible, because they're aiming to bring analog into the mainstream. I think that's their big goal, to achieve that, because they're the first major manufacturer who are actually investing in film photography.
Right.
It's amazing. It's 20 years ago. It's the last time they produced a film camera, and now they do again. So it says a lot. And so I think their focus is on the analog scene, but I think there's a huge potential to get digital photographers to use this camera to try getting into analog photography, because you have all these things. You don't have the issues with repairs, with warranty. You don't need to buy it on eBay. You can just buy it in a store, and you have the regular warranty. The people know, they can explain it to you. So I think that is a big step, and the format speaks to the digital natives who are way more used to the vertical format than the ones before, because of Instagram and other stuff, TikTok, whatever. So I think in general, the camera could work quite well for people who didn't have the courage to get into analog photography. That's it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. So you guys have been here since 2021, right?
Yes.
You just opened this fairly new store. It's just my third time here.
Yes, in the middle of the pandemic. We opened, yes.
What a weird time to start a store. But why did you decide to open up a new store here? And is it?
Well, we were kind of feeling the trends towards analog photography for sure. Berlin was kind of the trailblazer when it comes to this. So the new analog shops started to open there. I and another photographer, we both thought that, well, this is a great opportunity to do something like that in Hamburg because there was nothing,
Yeah,
like
right.
really
Yeah.
nothing. There was a few old shops, but there was nobody was trying that. I mean, it takes quite a bit of effort to do it, but we thought we can make. We have enough expertise to know what we are doing when it comes to photography. All the expertise on how to do a shop we had to learn. But at least we knew what we were talking about when we were talking about cameras, and that was the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because the authenticity, how we did things, and that our shop is not everything is perfect here. We use old furniture, pair this with old technology, and that is just way more believable than any fancy online shop, Instagram shop or something.
Yeah, no, it has a charm, and I like all this vintage furniture here, so it fits.
Yeah, I do think we are the general trend is quite substantial and is still going up. It was super hyped during the pandemic, and then maybe the first year after that, but it's settling down to be just a parallel thing with digital photography. It's not. I don't think it's in danger to be gone anytime soon, which it was for a long time to be completely gone. I think that it's super important now that new cameras come to the market because old cameras are old. They're 30 plus years old, even the youngest ones. There's not that many repairs.
Eventually, you're going to run out.
Eventually, we're going to run
Probably.
So yeah, our prediction was that we probably can buy and sell used cameras for another 5 years, and then and then we have the market is basically gone. And it's super important that you have new cameras to have this whole infrastructure again, repair shops for new cameras, spare parts, proper training for people who get taught new cameras, and this was all gone. This was all gone.
Yeah.
So I think that to establish that, and if these new cameras are successful, I think that this can pave the way for 10 more years of growth in the analog market for sure.
Okay.
Because if this is going well, and maybe there's another camera coming in the end of the year, and then maybe they are thinking about doing another one, and then maybe also Canon and Nikon takes notice. This is when things
Maybe
become
even
actual mainstream.
Yeah, maybe even some of these old film companies bring out the new film, hopefully, because I think this is probably the next step, right?
Yes, this will be the next step. It all depends on if this goes into the mainstream. And you can see right now, if you look at advertising, print advertising, especially on the outside, on the street, big brands, so many of them have an analog camera as an accessory. Just there's a famous person advertising for a perfume, and he has like nonchalant Leica or Hasselblad, and so it's getting more and more into the mindset of people that these things still exist, and it's still because that also took some time. I think a lot of people thought, well, this just doesn't exist anymore. Right, so I think that is this is something that is staying now, and now we will see if it can sustain the growth.
Yeah, so I guess this is a very important point.
Yes.
Seeing how this develops, this launch, what comes after it.
When this works out, the question, is this a trend or is this staying, is kind of answered. So, and I think that it also has to go a little bit back to the minds of people that an analog camera in the 90s, simple camera, let's say an Olympus Mu, that is a very hyped camera. That was like 600 mark, euros equivalent now with the inflation. So they were expensive, and the cameras were always expensive things. And it's worth to see that as a very complicated and amazing technology that is not something that anybody can make. So that's I think it's a very important mindset that it's not a cheap product in general, because it's super complicated to do. Yeah.
So how do you guys prepare for a launch like this? This must be something exciting that's different from just another film release.
It is the first new camera launch that we are actually working with. Pentax was amazing. It was a long time coming. They were contacting us already a year ago and visited us from Japan, discussed prototypes, ideas, not just this model but future stuff too. So they're really open and supportive and have a great love for the analog community that we represent. We are not just any shop. We are like, we love it, and all our customers are very passionate about this, not just in a business sense, but just really, really, really passionate that analog photography has a future. It's super important for us. So we prepare we try to support this launch with everything that we have. We do special social media stuff. We're gonna have prints here on the wall back there. We're gonna have prints from the camera that were made from the camera by us, but also from some Japanese photographers. Our interest is to have this camera be successful. That would mean a lot for us and would get so much attention that it's great for the analog photography in general. Yeah.
Topic dear to you.
Yes.
Cool. So you as also a photographer, if this launch is successful and Pentax decides to do more cameras in the future, is there any particular model that you would see revived or a new model?
Well, I think that I really like the in general a combination between old and new technology. So if they can manage to make a compact medium format camera, that would be amazing. Yeah. That would be really amazing, not just from what I want, because I've always been a medium format guy, so this is more my thing, but also because I think this would have the most appeal. Because you see the price difference between used cameras and new cameras is still in the heads of a lot of people, and the price difference, like medium format cameras are expensive, even used ones. So I think there's more just a niche market gap that they can actually fill with a new camera that makes sense just from the price point of view, not the emotion, not anything, just from the price point of view, and so many people are trying to get into medium format, and the complicated cameras, the expensive cameras, is what's keeping them. So this is really something that the whole format would benefit from something like that. So that's
Pentax, you know what to do next.
yes.
So yeah, thanks Oliver for the tour and developing my film so fast. And yeah, if you guys are ever in Hamburg, or if you watch this on the release date or announcement day, which is June 17, tomorrow on Tuesday, KHROME is doing an event day, a special Pentax 17 event day where you can try the camera, you see some prints on the wall, and just hang out
also
for the day.
Drinks and snacks and music and just a whole day analog niceness at KHROME.
All right. Yeah, and then just in general, if you want to develop your film or buy a second-hand camera, or soon you can also buy brand new cameras, of course, then say hi to the KHROME guys. Cool. All right, I'm back home, and now it's time to talk about the Pentax 17, my experience with it, how I like it, how I don't like it, who is it for, who is it not for, and we are still in full Pentax fanboy mode. I even have a Ricoh GR Uniqlo collaboration shirt on. So I want to start this conversation with the elephant in the room, which is half frame. What do I think about half frame? Was it a good choice? Do I like it? Do I want full frame now? And I want to show you something. This is not the photo I wanted to show you, but this is my wife and I and a good friend of mine who took photos of our wedding using an Instax Polaroid camera. And I cannot find the one where just my wife and me are on the photo, but luckily I have scanned it, so here it is. So this is my wife and I's wedding photo. This is our only photo we have from us at the wedding. We didn't hire any professional photographer, we just let our friends take pictures. One of my friends took photos with a Polaroid camera, and then also my brother was taking photos of his Pentax film camera. Here's an example of that. Oh, by the way, I'm soon going to go to a wedding of a good friend of mine, and he told me that I could come just as a guest. It's the first time I'm going to a wedding not as a photographer or where I don't have to bring a camera, but I'm still going to bring a camera, of course, and this is the one I'm going to bring. So film photography I really like for occasions like this, where it's more intimate, personal, just makes me feel a little nostalgic. And we have made some bigger prints of these Instax prints by scanning them and then printing them bigger, and the results are totally fine. So what I want to say with this is that the Pentax 17, even though it's half frame, it can still be a camera that takes your most important and precious moments. And for that, I really like it because I can get photos similar to the Instax printer. Now, the Instax cameras are, I think, the most sold cameras in Japan, which probably means that a lot of people who usually just use their smartphone like having a tactile experience and having a physical print, which for me begs the question if the same people are also going to consider buying this Pentax 17. Because with this camera you have to go to a film lab, develop your film or do it yourself. Then you have to scan it and then you can make prints. So the process here is not as immediate as an Instax Polaroid photo. But I think that those people might also transition to a camera like this if they become more interested in film photography in general. and want to try different films or just have more control, then maybe this camera is also for them. But when I started using this camera, I was first a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know about half frame. But the more I used it, the more I realized that this is also kind of a camera for people like me who don't really shoot film primarily. They just want to shoot film for fun. And my personal issue or problem with film is that whenever I shoot 35mm film, 3:2 aspect ratio, full frame, then for me it competes with my digital work because the aspect ratio is the same, the quality is almost the same, you get a little bit different colors, but even that you can kind of fix with digital photos. So just having to question, should I shoot film or should I shoot digital here is a little bit too much for me. I just want to keep shooting one medium. But when you use half frame, then you get more film grain because you just use a portion, half of the full frame. You get more of that film look. But at the same time, and I'm speaking now for my personal preferences, I don't like to shoot in vertical orientation. I like to shoot in wide aspect ratios, 3:2, 4:3. But portrait orientation, vertical frames, to me, it doesn't feel natural. I'm not a huge fan of it. I have to say it's kind of useful if you want to take photos of, if you have kids, then they're standing in front of you, then you can take a full body shot, and for that it works. But I often find myself trying to fill the frame and it was already too full and I had to step back. So the more I use this camera, the more I want Pentax to come up with another version that is full frame. But then again, it would compete with my digital files, but at least it would fit my shooting style a little bit better. I want to talk a little bit more about my experience using this camera. First of all, the haptic feel and the user experience is very good. I like the dials, the buttons, the advanced lever, how the grip feels, and this distance scale ring. Everything feels very well made, although I have to say it does feel a little plasticky. I couldn't resist. The front of this camera does actually feel more premium than the back, because you have this kind of leather here. I don't know if it's fake leather or rubber, but it's definitely not plastic. You can actually feel the softness of it. So that I really like. But here on the back, there is no leather. There's just, plastic. And if you touch it, it does feel a little cheap. It's a little unfortunate because if they would have wrapped this leather piece here around the camera, I think it would feel a little bit more premium, especially because your thumb is often resting on the back. But the mechanics of the camera and the viewfinder and the glass all seem very premium. I guess it is supposed to sit a little bit below a premium compact camera. They really want people who haven't experienced film to get to know film, enjoy the experience, and hopefully become future customers if Pentax continues and embraces film photography, basically. So for that, I think this might serve the purpose. But for people who are already into film and have multiple cameras, I don't know how appealing this model is for them. I haven't mentioned the benefit of half frame is also that you get more shots on your roll. And it actually did take quite a while to fill up a roll. So that is kind of nice because you can save money, obviously. So I can see why they went for half frame because it also allows you to save a little bit of money. Film is expensive, right? But I also have found myself missing some shots because I wasn't prepared. I didn't set the camera to the right distance, or I forgot to advance the lever, so I missed a moment. Quick interruption here just to tell you what's going on, because I found out that when you use the full auto mode, the quick start guide doesn't actually tell you to set a focus distance, which means that the focus is fixed in auto mode. And that would explain why most of my food shots are not in focus. To avoid this, just use any other mode. I suggest using the P modes. And then on top of that, the full auto mode also closes down the aperture as much as possible, which results in slower shutter speeds, which is why I got a few blurry shots even in bright daylight. I guess to avoid this, you could use the bokeh mode, which opens up the aperture, which therefore lets in more light and you get higher shutter speeds. I think for beginners, this camera could be a little bit overwhelming. I mean, you get used to it after a week. I think you get used to it, but always having to check your distances. By the way, there's a distance scale on the bottom here, which is nice. And I have often looked down and checked my distances here instead of looking up here. But, after almost 2 weeks, I kind of remembered what these symbols stand for in terms of distance. Almost all of the photos that I took with flash, they came out fine. So I think for me, this would just be a flash photography camera. So in general, I would say the hit rate is quite high, but you need to be a little careful with the distances. And when you don't use a flash, just hold the camera really steady. Yeah, for me, it just comes down to the aspect ratio. As I said, I'm not a fan of vertical photos, and half frame is fine. The concept of half frame is fine, but personally I don't like the vertical orientation. But all in all, considering how the camera looks and feels to use, I think they did a great job. And it is a camera that gives you control. So if you want to manipulate the exposure, you have these options. It's not just a point and shoot camera. You have to think a little bit, which is good and bad at the same time, right? And to be honest, if I would have to buy this camera with my own money, I think it's like 549 euros. That's what they told me. It's a little bit of a high price for a camera that feels mostly plastic, but you have to consider that if this camera breaks or something happens, then you can get it fixed. That's something you don't really get with other used point and shoot cameras, but I wouldn't necessarily invest in it because I don't feel like I'm the target customer for this. I think this is a great start, and I really look forward to see more film cameras coming up, but of course that all depends on the success of this launch. I think that should do it. This was my little first look on the Pentax 17. Thank you Ricoh Imaging and Pentax for letting me play with it. And if you enjoyed this video so far, it's not going to end because I have talked to my brother, who is also a Pentax film photographer. He is always shooting Pentax film SLRs. He also got a Pentax 17 from Pentax, and we actually had a FaceTime call where he unboxed it. So you can now see a little bit of a unboxing reaction of my brother and me watching my brother unbox his Pentax 17. So enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's do one more with flash. Pentax, Pentax, Pentax. Filmu da yo?
Hallo, hallo, was ist hier drin?
Soll ich meine auch holen? Ich hol meine.
Ja, aber ich will sie noch nicht sehen.
Ja, ich zeig's dir auch nicht.
Ey, übrigens, ich habe noch nie eine neue Kamera gekauft, ne? Also ich hatte noch nie eine neue Kamera.
Ja,
das ist ja immer alles Secondhand gewesen, ja.
Ja.
It's time for Film. Aber für mich schon für immer. Seit immer. Digga!
Warte.
Wie chibi ist sie denn, Digga? Oh shit. Was?
Du hast ja gar keine Ahnung, wie die aussieht, ne?
Zeigen. Hä? Was? Hä, die ist echt ziemlich stylisch.
Ja, ne? Ich dachte, vielleicht sieht die noch kindischer aus, aber irgendwie ist das cool oben. So Panda-Style.
Hä? Okay. Ist es on?
Mach ein Foto.
Was?
Richtig leise, ne?
Es ist übertrieben leise.
Oh!
Ja, weil kein Film drin ist.
Ja,
aber
ich weiß.
Es ist schon sehr smooth auf jeden Fall. Weißt du, wie sich das anfühlt? Wie damals, als uns Baba, unsere Großmutter, immer uns den neuesten Gameboy geschickt hat. Weil keiner hatte
Ja,
den hier.
stimmt.
Keiner hatte den in Deutschland. Und dann so einen neuen Gameboy oder Playstation.
Ja, genau.
Nintendo DS, du packst aus, denkst du, weil alles ist so perfekt, ist ja auch Japan Quality.
Ja. Ist echt so, als wenn wir mit einem Gameboy spielen.
Das ist echt so. Nur, dass wir jetzt Erwachsener sind und nicht mehr so Spiele spielen, sondern halt so eine Kamera. Dieser Sucher ist schon kawaii. Ich muss mich irgendwie dran gewöhnen, weil es ja hochkant, Half-Frame. Normalerweise mache ich ja so, weißt du?
Ja, stimmt.
Aber hier musst du es ja gar nicht machen. Du bist ja schon so im Hochformat. Pentax.
TKO さんにメッセージ。
はい。こんにちは、ヨーナさん。今、このめっちゃ素晴らしい、新しいアナログペンタックスカメラ17っていうカメラが今ドイツに届いたので、めちゃくちゃ嬉しいなので、今から外行ってこのカメラを試すつもりなので、めちゃくちゃ楽しみにしてます。ありがとうございました。本当によろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。そしておめでとう。
おめでとうございます。
ペンタックスペンタックスペンタックス。
あれ？
ちょっと壊れてる。
ああ、写真撮りました。いい感じだ。音がめちゃめちゃ静かですね。全然聞こえないの。外で行ってストリート写真撮るのめっちゃ楽ね、これ。 これね。ほんまに、あ、フラッシュもめっちゃいいね。
あとはもう撮る人のセンスでしょ。
Das ist perfekt. Das ist perfekt. Das nehme ich, das am Ende, ne? Ich schneide das aber so zusammen, dass es zusammenpasst.
Ja, nimm irgendwas davon.